All right, today I'm gonna talk about whether or not I regret moving to Florida. And we're gonna go over some of the things that maybe I thought were a big deal and turned out not to be, and maybe some of the things that still kind of drive me crazy. Let's get into it. I'm Sam and welcome to the Living in Tampa, Florida channel, where every single week we make videos about what it's like to live, work, play, and move to the Tampa, Florida area. If that's something you want to follow along with, make sure you subscribe and hit the little bell so you don't miss any of our next videos. I'm also a licensed realtor in Florida, so if you have any real estate specific questions, don't hesitate to reach out. My phone number and email are right there on the screen. Today I'm out here at Fred Howard Park in Tarpon Springs, the town I live in, just kind of on the northwest side of the Tampa area. It's really stormy today, overcast and humid, kind of nice to ride out here on my one wheel. But I think it's a little too windy to shoot the whole video out here, so we're gonna head back to my office and finish this up. All right, so I'm here back in my office now, and we're gonna get into some of the things related to my move to Florida. Here it is a year later. I moved a little over a year ago. I wanna talk to you about what it's like to be even a small business owner, but really just a resident in a new place and kind of how I feel about it now. And just a warning, this is mostly gonna be a video of me talking to the camera, me explaining some of my experiences. So if you want to see more of the area, there's a lot of other videos on my channel that show a lot of the area, but this is not going to be one of those. All right, we're going to start with 4 things that I think are a little overblown about the area. Some things that people say are a big deal that I don't think are really a big deal. Number 1 is weather. Yeah, it gets hot down here, but most of you have been to hot places, and most of you have been to cold places too, and you want to go to somewhere warm. It is hot in the summer, you sweat a lot more, you wear less clothes. Like, I gave the example to a client recently of about how warm it is. So sometimes people will visit and they'll ask does it get much hotter than this right now? Lately, it's been no. I mean, of course it gets more humid at times. The humidity is kind of what fluctuates a little more than the heat. The summer temperature, gets up into the mid 90s. Maybe occasionally a little bit higher than that, but it's pretty consistent in that low 90 range. The thing is, it gets that hot in a lot of places in the US. It's just that in Florida, it's that hot for a lot of the year. Another factor with the weather in Florida is storms. So it's not just the heat, but also hurricanes and flooding. Yeah, it happens. I actually live in a flood zone. My house is well below recommended elevation for safety from floods. Even on realtor.com, the flood factor, you can see some of the risk of a specific property to be flooded. Mine is 9 out of 10. I do have to pay for flood insurance, and on my $300,000 house, the flood insurance is about $2,000 every year. And I mean, it sucks to have to pay that. It sucks to have to pay that every single year. And it's not adding to the equity in my home or anything like that, but that is the price to pay for living very close to the water. And we live very close to the water, just a block away, maybe less. I mean, it's really 50 yards is the water. And this is the water that's in the middle of town in Tarpon Springs. These are bayous, which are brackish water, which is a mixture of salt water and fresh water, because it's fed from the Gulf and it's fed from a spring and they mix. So that is part of the price we pay for being so close to the water. Sometimes that brackish water does come up into our street and you don't really want to drive through it because that salt water is harsh on your car, things like that. But it's really not any more harsh than the salt stuff they spray on the roads to melt the ice and snow. So it's pretty easy to avoid. But even if you do drive through it, it's not like your car's gonna fall apart immediately. You can wash it off in the next few days and you'll be fine. So overall, I feel like weather is overblown, both the heat and the storms. Of course, year over year, the storms are different, and we'll see how it goes this year. All right, number 2 thing that I think is a little overblown and not as bad as people say is the traffic. Yeah, there's traffic. but it's not so crazy. It's not bumper to bumper. It's not like it's doubling your drive time. I mean, it might occasionally double your drive time if you're in like a common commute path and you're driving at primary commute times. So let's say you live in North Wesley Chapel and you're commuting all the way to downtown Tampa. There is a few different scenarios where that could add a lot of time to your travel. But usually if you've got a typical 30-minute drive, even during the worst time, which is the evening commute home, that's gonna add maybe 10 minutes to your 30-minute trip. So if you normally have an hour trip, it's gonna add 20 minutes, which really isn't too bad. And once you get to know the roads in the area, you get a lot more comfortable navigating around traffic. That's something that I've experienced. Like once I get to know the area a little better, I feel a lot more comfortable in the midst of traffic and have some other alternative routes that I could take. Okay, number 3 thing that I think has been kind of overblown in this past year and that I've actually been delighted by is how open the state has been in the midst of the pandemic. Yeah, some people still need to be very careful about going out and about, all kinds of things. But for those of us that don't need to be quite as cautious, maybe we're healthy, we don't have other comorbidities, or are vaccinated, it has been very easy to go out and do things, to go to restaurants, to go to church, to go to events, and to go to the beach. And a lot of these things are outdoors, and Florida has been very careful to protect those kind of freedoms. And I did grow up in a very conservative area of the US, so I don't really want to live in an area that's quite so conservative, but there is a really nice balance in Florida because the population is very mixed in these kind of things. So no matter where you lean in the midst of all of this stuff that's been hyper politicized, Florida has remained pretty open. The virus hasn't spread rapidly, and people who feel comfortable going out have been able to go out. It hasn't been like people are watching their TV to see if they're allowed to go out today. People are a little more vigilant about going out if they want to, going to stores if they want to, and wearing a mask or not if they want to. Unless they are in a specific setting, a small business or something like that where it is being requested, then people are much more compliant. Okay, the number 4 thing that is talked about, and I kind of want to share from my own perspective as a small business owner, is just the opportunities in Florida and in the Tampa area. Yeah, if you're coming here straight out of high school and looking for a job, you're gonna find a lot of low-paying jobs, or if you have mostly experienced low-paying jobs, that's gonna be what's available here. And there are a lot of those jobs available. But there are also a lot of other opportunities, whether that is businesses that are relocating to the area or opening another office in the area, or even just opportunities to start your own business like me. Florida makes it very easy to start your own business, to set all those kind of things up. There are not many loopholes to jump through for that. And even in real estate, to get your real estate license in Florida is a little bit easier than other states. And I have my own opinions about that. I think the market gets a little bit flooded with realtors that aren't really committed to doing a good job for their clients. Maybe they just have a couple friends that want to buy and sell houses, so they're like, oh, I'll get my real estate license, and then they get it, and then they don't have any clients after that, and they don't know how to find them. So Florida actually has more realtors than any other state, and I think that's kind of why. Well, both those reasons are why. 1, it's pretty easy to get your license, and 2, when it's easy to get your license, then the threshold to go to get it, or the reasons why you would go get it, don't have to be as intense whenever it's so easy. I also like being in a place where there's a lot of opportunity because you can see some things happening. Yeah, housing prices are going up, and prices of a lot of things are going up. But there's also a lot of people coming to the area that are excited about what the area could become. And myself included, I'm excited for all kinds of people to start innovative small businesses in the area, to start those, coffee shops and bakeries that I've experienced in other places that haven't quite saturated this overall metro area yet. Now it's time for a few of the things that have disappointed me about the Tampa area. Okay, number 1 is openness. I know I talked about openness in a positive way related to the pandemic, but I also see it in a negative light. A lot of people, when they've lived in an area for a long time, it's very hard to think about change as a good thing. And since a lot of people have lived here for a few generations, this state is very old in relation to like the western half of the United States. A lot of these people are pretty change averse. They're, just scared of change or just resistant to change. This also means they're often resistant to, things that are more expensive or things that are just different. Because I'm young and have a young family and I'm excited to be somewhere with opportunity, I'm able to endure a lot of these things, and I can see that they will change over time. But if you want to like retire here or come here to really experience an open kind of place, Florida's not quite there yet. Maybe some places in Florida are, but Tampa is not. At least from my perspective and from my interactions with locals and with my extended family in the area. All right, number 2, disappointment. Something I have to deal with most days, unless it's raining or extremely windy, is bugs. I just get bit like crazy, and I've tried all kinds of things, and nothing seems to keep them away from me. My father-in-law sent an article to our family group thread recently about why mosquitoes bite certain people, and there's all kinds of things like what blood type you are, how much carbon dioxide you release from your body, what your average body temperature is. There's all kinds of factors like this that no one has any control over as far as I know, and I've thought maybe some of those factors were involved, but then this article went on to explain some of the factors that could contribute to bugs being attracted to certain people. And the 3 that stood out to me were exercise, alcohol consumption, and wearing dark clothes. So I wrote back to the family and said, well, it looks like I can't exercise, can't wear dark clothes, and can't drink alcohol because I get bit even when no one else is getting bit. And they just linger on me for a long time. It's just itchy. My ankles are pretty much just itchy all the time. And it's not just mosquitoes. Right now we have a lot of no-see-ums, which are kind of like a gnat, but they do bite you. And they itch in the same way that a mosquito bite does, but it doesn't swell up in the same kind of way. But they still just itch, and I'll get we'll go to the park with my family, and I'll get, 10 no-see-um bites on my ankles. And then my ankles are just itchy for a few days. And it is annoying that this is a factor. I just have to think about it. I have to choose to wear bug spray or not, and I don't really want to smell like bug spray, and I don't really want to have to always think about that kind of thing. So it is kind of annoying, but I just have to be a little more cautious. If we're all going to go to a park, I want to avoid certain areas of the park because there are bugs, and yeah, it's annoying. It's the price I have to pay, I guess. And my list of things that I dislike about the area is pretty short, so it dominates the list. Okay, number 3 thing that I'm a little disappointed about is the beach. Not the actual beach, but how much we go to the beach. We actually live really close to a beach. We live really close to that beach I was at in the beginning of the video, Fred Howard Park. You see it right here on the map. And it's kind of the northernmost beach in this county. Not kind of, it is the northernmost beach in this county. It's really nice, Fred Howard Park, and my father-in-law is actually the nephew of Fred Howard, who the park was named after. Apparently Fred Howard was a good old boy whenever these areas were kind of forming. He was the mayor of Tarpon, the mayor of Newport Richey, something like that. But he was really involved in a lot of things, and this park was named after him. Even though we live very close to this beach, we're about an 8-minute drive from it. We still don't go all that often. It still is kind of a big thing to go get all sandy and get in the water, and we have a 3-year-old, so it makes it a little more difficult. Maybe a couple times a month we go out there to watch the sunset or go for a walk, but not as much as we thought we would. And I find that to be pretty congruent with Floridians in general. They love the idea of the beach, they love that they have the beaches, but they still just don't go that much. All right, so this has kind of been some of my takeaways from my first year here in Florida. Please comment down below if you have any other questions. Maybe you've heard me say something else that I was disappointed by, or something that I really loved and you kind of want to know how I stand on it now. I'd love to share some of those things in future videos. So comment down below if you have any questions like that, or comment down below if you have the same struggles I do. Maybe you have been here a year or so, or a few years, and you are still getting bit by the bugs. Maybe you have a secret remedy that you can share with all of us and make it not secret anymore. Either way, thanks for watching. I hope you found this information useful. And if you do have any real estate specific questions, please don't hesitate to reach out anytime. My phone number and email are right there on the screen. See you next time.